and welcome, everyone. Remember, this experience of yoga is really not about the postures, as I said in my note. It's about keeping our bodies, our minds, our emotions fit enough to be as happy as we possibly can, given the vicissitudes, the trials and tribulations of life, of aging, all of it. But that's what I hope to do for you, and of course, for me too, because I go through as much as everybody else does, I think, when it comes to being challenged. But I feel that we all have a wealth and a well of resilience and resolve when we have the tools and the mindsets to accept that without challenges, we just become, I don't know, earthworms or something. So let's get started. And today, because I notice with a lot of people, and even myself sometimes, when my head is bent forward, there's a tendency to get too much roundedness in the back. And of course, eventually the muscles of the chest shorten and it doesn't look good and it doesn't feel good. And I think it can lead to things like depression and low energy when we're not open in the front of our bodies. So that's going to be the focus today, is to try to get our bodies back into great shape. I hope you all have a couple of blocks. And let's get started in our cat-cow. So coming onto your hands and knees. Chakra Vakrasana is cat-cow. So if you have issues with your wrists, then you can always come up onto your knuckles, or you can take your hands a little bit further forward just to reduce some of the stress in the wrists. But ideally, if you don't, the wrinkles in your wrist should line up with the front of your mat. And if you press into your fingers, you'll take some of the pressure off the wrists. Your knees are directly underneath your hips, and you're lengthening your spine and reaching the crown forward and your tailbone backwards. On an exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, pull your bellies in. On an inhale, curl your toes under, begin with your tailbone to lift it up, articulating one vertebra at a time, hollowing out your lower back, and then bringing your heart center forward as you lift your neck, and your eyes can gaze up at your middle eye. And exhale, flatten the tops of your feet, round your spine. As simple as this movement is, it is the perfect warm-up for your spine. And then curl your toes under. Again, begin with your tailbone. Think about lifting your tailbone first, hollowing out your lower back, drawing your shoulders away from your ears as you bring your heart center forward and lift your head, and eyes can go up. And your eyes can be closed if you like. Flatten the tops of your feet once again to round your spine into cat. Exhaling. Curl your toes under. Begin with your tailbone. Inhaling. So feel your chest opening as the movement comes up your spine, lifting your head, articulating your cervical vertebra, your neck vertebra. And again, flatten the tops of your feet, exhaling into cat. Drawing your navel in towards your spine, tucking your chin. And again, curl your toes under, begin with your tailbone, hollow out your lower back. Feel your shoulders moving away from your ears as your chest opens and your head lifts. And last time, flatten the tops of your feet, round your spine. Now, I want sometimes for you to think about your head being like a bowling ball, 10 to 15 pounds sitting on top of very tiny vertebra. You have 7 cervical vertebrae. There are 12, and then curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back, lifting your tail. There are 12 cranial nerves emanating out of your neck. And this is why when our necks are tight and tense, or your head is tilted forward, looking at a screen, 45 degrees forward can put 50 pounds of pressure on your cervical vertebra and your upper back muscles. And then come back to neutral, please. And just breathe here, lengthening your spine. So I'm going to say that again. If your head is tilted 45 degrees, you're putting up to 50 pounds of pressure on your cervical vertebra and your upper back muscles. And there's more than that, but I just want you to really try to digest some of this information so that when you please extend your right leg out the back and your left arm out the front. Because I know there's a tendency, even myself, I'm still working on the habit of lifting my devices. If it's an iPhone or your phone or your tablet, make sure it's eyeball length where your bowling ball, your head can sit right straight on top of your cervical spine. And release. And extend the opposite arm and leg out. So this is where you want to be sure that you're pressing all your fingertips, the heel of your hand, but especially your thumb, your baby finger into the mat, and you're reaching and stretching out here. You know, doing things that our mind and body doesn't want to do, but that we know is good for us, helps us develop discipline. All right? So when we get cranky about doing something and we say, nah, I don't like this and I'm not good at this, but I know it's good for me, you're developing discipline by doing it. Take your knees as wide apart as you can. Now, if you have knee issues and you don't want to bend your knees too much, then you're going to stay in puppy pose with your bum up in the air and you're going to lower your forehead to the floor with your arms out in front. But if bending your knees isn't an issue, please take them as wide apart as your mat. Flatten the tops of your feet. Let your big toes touch. Take your time. Sometimes you can get cramps in your foot, so when you go nice and slow, this used to be something I dealt with for years. My feet would cramp up. So just go slowly. And if they do cramp, you can come up. Wait for the cramping to start, and then if you're able, you're lowering your torso between your thighs, releasing your forehead onto the mat, or fold your forearms over top of one another and release your forehead onto your forearms. And just inhale deeply. And exhale. Now make sure your exhalations are at least as long and possibly longer than your inhalations. Apple always wants to sell me more music. Just crazy. Sorry, because I'm just trying to find a playlist here. And let's inhale, come up, and come on over onto your backs. So we're preparing our bodies, and have a block handy by your side. And we're going to start with a bridge pose. So bend your legs and place the soles of your feet flat on the floor. Align your heels with your sits bones, bringing your feet as comfortably flat on the floor, but close to your sits bones. And then lift your heart center up and tuck your shoulder blades under, and then roll your chin forward to lengthen the back of your neck. Your arms will be beside your body with your palms facing down. Press the small of your back into the floor and peel your spine off the mat. So you're coming up into a bridge pose. Setu Bandhasana. You should be feeling a little bit of stretch here in the fronts of your thighs. We're going to be practicing Camel Ustrasana because that's an ideal posture for opening and lengthening the thoracic vertebra to allow your head, your cervical vertebra, to gently roll back when we get to that. But feel your thighs working. And remember, the thoracic upper back, so your thoracic vertebra, your upper back, is convex in shape. Concave curves inwards, convex curves outwards. And therein will lie the difficulty sometimes in our back bends, is that your thoracic rib cage, vertebra are attached to your ribs. So we're going to be some stretching to open this area up to stretch the intercostal muscles. These are the muscles between your rib cage. One more breath in, and then starting from the top of your spine, slowly release your torso back down onto the mat. Bring the soles of your feet together and just let your knees fall out in Baddha Konasana. So this relaxes the spine now, but stretches the inner thigh, the groin area, mobilizes the hips gently in external rotation. So the soles of your feet are in prayer position, basically. When we allow our palms to turn up, we also externally rotate the upper arm bone in the shoulder joint, because typically we're internally rotated using our hands with our devices to make food, to read books, pick things up. So just a simple act of allowing your palms to face up opens the shoulders, and Baddha Konasana opens the hips. Inhale, bring the knees back together, and now draw one knee up towards your chest and then the other knee, and place your hands on top of your knees and just do some gentle rocking, or perhaps making big circles. So this is like a self-massage for the lower back, and the bigger the circles or the wider the rocking means you get into a little bit of the high hip, areas that can get tight from too much sitting, poor posture, whether we're standing or sitting. And just be mindful and be aware of what you might be feeling without any judgment. That's the deal with mindfulness. It's just noticing with no judgment. Practice that one while somebody's being rude. Well, there's no shortage of opportunities to practice all of the attributes that we appreciate in kind and patient people. Okay, now, keep your knees bent, keep your knees as wide as possible, and take your arms out to the side, shoulder height. I want you to isolate and think about just your left knee, and you're going to let that left knee fall over. You're going to roll over onto your left side, let the left knee fall to the earth, and then let the right one join it. So you're probably feeling this through the rib cage. Here we're stretching intercostal muscles. You may also be feeling it in your top butt muscle, your glutes. Just lift the right bent knee up, just the right, rolling on your lower back, and then rolling over to the right. Let that right knee fall, and the left one join it. Now, if you require a block to find comfort, either beneath the bottom knee or between the knees, use it. And then just the right knee coming up again. The left's going to follow, pardon me, just the left, just the left, just the left. You're rolling, your knees are wide apart. Let that left knee fall, and the right joins it. Inhaling, just the right knee up. The left is going to follow. You don't have to think about it. You're rolling onto your lower back. Let that right knee drop, and the left joins it. Breathing into your left rib cage, intercostal muscles. Maybe your left pectoral, chest muscles, armpit. Modify whatever may be causing you pain or discomfort. Always practice with awareness, respect, and compassion for where your body is today. And then inhale, come back to center. Place the soles of your feet on the outer edges of your mat, keeping your knees bent. Press the small of your back into the floor. Whenever we press the small of the back into the floor, we begin to engage our abdominal muscles and most of our core. So inhaling in place, your arms are still out the side, shoulder height. Exhale, drop both knees over to the left. Try to keep your right arm and shoulder on the mat. Stretches your IT band, the outer connective tissue on your top thigh, your right thigh. Inhale, come back to center. Keeping the feet stationary. Exhale, drop both knees over to the right. Now you're going to feel the stretch through your left IT band, your iliotibial band. From the top of your hip crest, your ilium, to your knee, your tibia bone in the knee. Be sure you're breathing deeply, exhaling completely. Inhale, back to center, one more time, over to the left. If it feels okay, place your left heel on top of your right knee. If it doesn't feel okay, place that left foot back where it was. This intensifies the stretch through the right side of your body. The more deeply we breathe, the more the rib cage expands and the intercostal muscles are stretched. And then release that left foot back to the outer edge of the mat. Inhale, slowly back to center. Exhale, both knees over to the right. Pick up the right heel, place it on top of your other knee. Always use your breath to remove blocks and create space in the body. Also use your breath where the greatest amount of effort is occurring in your body, sending your caring awareness, mindful attention to the place in your body that feels the most exertion. If anything, of course, causes you to hold your breath, be aware of that and back it up a bit. And then releasing and come back to center slowly. Once more, draw your knees towards your chest, one hand on each knee. Now, glue your knees, your thighs, and the inner portion of your feet together. Absolutely glued together. Have your thighs, your knees, and the lower part of your legs at right angles to each other. Now, just having your thighs perpendicular to your hips, your torso, you can feel your core working. Notice that. How about pressing the small of your back into the floor? Just while you're holding this, feel your core working. Keep breathing. Now, palms can be face up or they can be down, whichever one you feel. What I want you to do now is keep your knees, your legs glued together. Slowly lower both knees over to the left. Keep them together. So if they come apart, then you've gone too far. Keep them together, please, slowly. And then turn your head to the right. So we're getting some flexibility here in the neck. Turn your head to the right. The knees go to the left. They stay together. You can feel your core engaging when you slowly return to center. Snap it back. You miss the opportunity to work your core, bringing your head back to the center as well. Take a moment here. Make sure your thighs are perpendicular to your hips and that your lower leg is perpendicular, right angles to the upper part of your leg. Inhale in place. Press the small of your back into the floor, towards the floor. Exhale, both knees over to the right, and take your head to the left. So you may not go all the way over. The knees may not go to the floor. It's not the point. You're opening up the rib cage, stretching intercostal muscles, and working the core. Inhale, come back to center. And one more time, both knees over to the left, glued together, head to the right. You might notice a little more mobility through the lower back on your second go. Keep breathing. There's no breath holding here. Your head is to the right, your knees are to the left. Inhale, slowly back to center with both the knees and the head. And last time, exhale, both knees over to the right and your head to the left. As you breathe, you probably feel your core engaging. Inhale, come back to center, and one more time, draw your knees into your chest, and if you wish, some gentle rocking from side to side. Now there's two ways we can come up to sitting. You can either roll over onto your side and use your top arm to press you up, or if you're able, place your hands underneath the backs of your knees and rock up to a seated position. Okay, take your block. We're going to do a little bit of mobilization of your neck. And whenever you feel the need, please take a sip of water. Okay. If sitting cross-legged works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, you can leave your legs straight out in front, all right? So, with the neck, first thing we're going to do, make a double chin, maybe a triple chin, I don't know. But we start, now when you sit on your blocks, just a reminder, it's not about perching on top of them because that doesn't really help your lower back. It's really about bringing your sits bones to the edge of the block, all right? So that your hips can roll forward and you can, and before we do any neck exercises, what's really important and why I tell you this is because you don't want to be doing neck exercises and not having good posture, all right? You want to be sitting up as tall as you can, so that axial extension, lifting up through the crown of your head, okay? So lift up, sitting nice and tall, shoulders down, rest your hands however feels comfortable, lifting up through the crown of the head, and now you're going to tuck your chin and try to make that double chin. So this is stretching the back of your neck. And it's different from this head forward bending that we do when we're looking at our devices. This is very different. Your posture is fully upright and you're just tucking your chin in as much as you can. And you should feel the sides of your neck and the back of your neck lengthening when you've got your chin tucked. And releasing. Okay. Next up, inhale, lengthen up, and I'll do the mirror image. Let's tilt the head to the left. So you're bringing your left ear down to your left shoulder, and you're going to take your left hand, if you wish, to add a little bit of tension. You can also tippy-toe the right fingers out to the right side. Again, you'll feel even more stretch. And releasing. Exhale in place. Inhale, lift up, lengthen, shoulders down. And exhale, lower the right ear over to the right shoulder. And bring your right arm up to the side of your head. And you might want to tippy-toe the left fingers out to the other side. Please don't do too much. It's like tuning a violin or a guitar. If you tune it too tight, you break the strings. Inhale, come back to center. Just keep your eyes closed for a moment and breathe. Next thing we're going to do is pretend we're going to smell our armpits. Hopefully yours are smelling good today. Okay, so going to go to the left side first. I'm going to do the mirror image. I'm going to take my left hand up and I'm going to look down at my left armpit. So this is a levator scapula stretch, and you can feel the muscle. So you're looking down, you're thinking about sniffing your armpit, but really you're just tilting your head that direction, keeping your posture nice and tall. And release. Bring your head back to center. Inhale, lift up and lengthen. Now exhale, let's go over to the other armpit. Take the same arm of the armpit you're looking at. Imagine you were sniffing that armpit. Speaking of armpits, I like the salt crystal for deodorant. I think it really works. Some people don't, and you won't be buying deodorant very often. The thing lasts forever. So it's a salt crystal. It's round. I'm sure it's available at Shoppers, certainly in the health stores. Because in antiperspirants, there's aluminum and other things we don't know about, but the salt crystal, I think it works like a charm, along with bathing, of course. All right. Come back to center. Oh boy. Okay, let's work those shoulders. So inhale the shoulders up, exhale, bring them forward. Bring them up, forward, down. Inhale up, forward, exhale, down. Inhaling up, forward, exhaling. So using your breath as it comes up, exhaling as it comes down, inhaling up, back down. One more time, inhale up and down. And then let's reverse, inhaling up, exhale back, inhale up, exhale back, in, up, exhale back, inhale up, exhale back, inhale up, exhale back. One more, inhale up, and exhale back. And if you are sitting cross-legged, you might want to just release your knees, bang out the backs. And then the next exercise is to actually take your elbows towards the back. So you're bringing your elbows around the back of your body, and you're actually trying to bring your elbows together. It's not going to happen, but this really opens up the front of the body again because, I mean, obviously this is pretty extreme, but bring your elbows together behind your body. So you're just trying to bring your elbows together and release. And once again, elbows together. Release. And elbows together. And release. And one more time. So these are shoulder blade squeezes. And release. Okay, so we're getting ready now. We're going to try our camel pose. This is where you may wish to either use a knee cushion if you got one. You can always fold over your lower mat if you need knee cushioning. And this is where you also may want to have your blocks, to place them beside your feet when we're tipping. So I started to talk about, and I want to say it again, the thoracic spine is convex. It goes out. Your lumbar is concave. It goes in, as your cervical. That's what it should be doing, all right? So the spine is curvy. So the difficulty in bending backwards, especially if the ligaments and the connective tissue are tight in the upper back, which they are in a lot of people, because a lot of people, shoulders are forward, heads forward. This is making all of this very tight. It doesn't get the chance to open. So we take our time here. Now, some of you may not need the blocks. You can also curl your toes under and place your hands on your feet. But the blocks are if you don't want to go back too far. So what I want you to think about is lengthening the thoracic spine. Okay, so this part, that rounded part, you know, kyphosis, when you see people like that, that's that kyphosis thing. Lordosis, of course, is the opposite. And I can just hear Jane at home right now going, It's my friend Jane. She's doing it at Zoom up at Yonge and St. Clair. Okay, so don't think about your head going back. Let's think about lengthening and reaching up, and your blocks are going to be right beside your legs, okay? So you're lifting up through the chest, and I want you to keep your chin tucked for a moment. It's almost like if you'll be reluctant to let your head fall back, but in camel pose, and maybe I could just demonstrate here, is that the head's going to go back, but it's almost going to be reluctant, because what I want you to focus on is the thoracic area. So lengthening, lifting, and I'm going to wait to let my head fall back. I'm just going to wait, because I want to focus on the thoracic region and opening up the chest, and then I can gently let the head fall back. If I like, and if I don't like, I can keep the head relatively straight. Keep pressing your thighs forward, and then bring your hands onto your hips. You might feel a little lightheaded. Come on down for a moment. And let's just take again, a modified or whatever child's pose works for you, or puppy pose. So coming forward, releasing your forehead onto the mat. Knees can be together or apart. Release your forehead, whether it's on your forearms, making a pillow, or if your forehead can just rest on the floor. And let's come back up. And if you're willing to try this once again, and if you're not, well, do something else that you don't want to do to develop discipline. Okay. All right, so you can place your hands on your hips to start. You can have the tops of your feet flat on the floor, or you can curl your toes under. If you like, have your blocks beside your feet. And then inhale, axial extension, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Feel your chest opening, your shoulders rolling back. Keep the length in the upper back. Now, when we keep a lot of length in the upper back, it supports not having the lower back too compressed, because if we just roll back, it compresses our lower back. If we lift and lengthen before we begin to bend backwards, and again, work with the upper back first. Don't worry about the head. But when you're ready, and if you're ready and it feels okay, then let your head fall back. Keep pressing the hips forward. Feel the stretch through the fronts of the thighs. Come out whenever you need to. We will all come out in a moment. Inhale. And place your blocks off to the side. And come on down onto your bellies. And place your arms beside your body, your forehead on the mat, with your palms facing up. Stretch your legs straight out behind you, lengthening through the neck, reaching shoulders away from your ears and your fingertips down towards stretching towards your feet. So we're going to practice Salabhasana, locust pose next. Again, this is strengthening, and I want you to really think about when we come up into Salabhasana that you're working the upper, middle, and lower parts of your back equally, distributing the weight. And truly, it's not about how high up you get. It's more about the alignment and feeling as if you are working and coming out of it when you need to. So roll the invisible alley with your nose, lengthening your neck. Eyes are straight down at the floor. On an inhale, you're bringing your shoulders back as you lift your head. You're lifting your arms, shoulders, chest, and now maybe legs as well off the floor. So again, it's a very demanding posture, but it's invigorating in the afterglow. One more breath in, reaching, stretching, lengthening, and lower. Turn your head to the right, big toes touch, heels splay out, shoulders melt. And just breathe. Of course, it's cardiovascularly demanding. But what we're learning today in self-care is that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you can maintain a more open, strong posture, whether you're sitting or standing or walking, we end up having a little more confidence, not to mention a more youthful and a more healthy stance, no matter what we're doing. Becoming aware of where our weaknesses are, having the discipline to address them, to work with them, with compassion, not with disgust, with kindness, caring, and bring your head back to the center. And then let's take our arms onto our backs and interlock our fingers if we can. And then squeeze the shoulder blades together, straightening the arms, bringing the shoulders away from the ears. So straighten the arms as much as you can with your fingers interlocked on your back. We're just going to raise the upper body this time. So roll the invisible alley with your nose, looking straight down at the mat, pressing the tops of your feet into the mat, maybe your upper thighs. They're staying on the ground. On an inhale, take your arms backwards towards the feet, lifting upper body, head, neck, shoulders, and chest. A little more difficult to take a deep breath here, but do breathe. One more breath in if you can. Exhale. Great. Now release, turn your head to the opposite side. Big toes touch, heels splay out, and shoulders melt. Now, if you found some of this really challenging and you did it anyway, you will have gotten more benefit than those of us who may not have found what we just did too challenging. So the harder something is and the more we try, the more benefits we will receive, obviously, when we practice mindfully with awareness, respect, and compassion. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Come on up onto your knees. Curl your toes under. Bring your hands back towards your knees. Roll up, bringing the soles of your feet onto the floor. Please keep your knees bent. And let your head hang. In fact, you might even give it a little bit of a swing. So the knees are bent, your torso's resting on your thighs, and you're just letting your arms just hang out here. And then pressing the soles of your feet firmly into the mat. We're going to slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Keep your chin tucked into your chest and let your head be the last thing to come up. And then roll your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll them back. And let's just take Tadasana. Just a reminder, we're going to do our sun salutations. So in Tadasana, your heels should line up with your sits bones. The outsides of your feet should be parallel with the outsides of your mat. If you lift your toes off the floor and close your eyes, you will feel your big toe mount, baby toe mount, I hope, baby toe mount, big toe mount, and the center front of your heel. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps, and then lower your toes. Just let them lay on the mat. Bring the shoulders up to the ears, exhale, and roll them back. Pull your armpits down, and then turn your palms forward, and then let them turn back in, whatever feels comfortable. Let your chin float horizontal, parallel to the floor. Eyes can be open or closed. Please let the crown of your head reach up mountain pose. So your sternum is lifted away from your pelvic floor. Great. Give your legs a shake out. If you need a sip of water before we do our sun salutations. So, of course, as we age, the perils of aging, oh boy. Flexibility, strength, balance, but we're here to slow all that down. A loss of 10% of muscle can equal about a 30% loss in strength. So think about this when we're doing our warrior poses, because again, warrior, Virabhadrasana means strength, and we might hold these just a little bit longer. Our plank pose, we're going to work on that in the next couple of weeks too, because it might be a difficult pose, but there's so many benefits. Come on up to the fronts of your mats. If your socks don't have stickies on the bottom, it's safer to remove them so that you will be able to grip your mats. Okay, lift your shoulders back, inhaling in place, exhale, hands in prayer. Step your feet apart, reach up, look up. Here we go. We're going to arc back. Don't worry about your head so much. Think about opening up the chest, lengthening through the thoracic spine, and then inhale. Bring your feet back together. Lift up out of your waist. Fold from the tops of your legs, your hips. Reach forward. If you go nice and slow, you'll work more of your core. And then bring your fingertips to the floor. If you need to, you bend your knees. If not, your legs are straight. And please let your head hang. Step your left leg back. Drop your knee to the mat. Bring your hands onto your front right thigh. Focus your gaze for balance. Bring your back knee off the floor. Focus your gaze. Press through your back heel. That'll be your anchor. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Fingers are active. Turn your hands forward. Bring your palms to the floor. Middle finger points forward. You're coming into your push-up plank position. If this is too much for your wrists or your shoulders, please bring your knees to the floor and then perhaps cross your feet at the ankles. If you're able to hold plank, lengthen. Should have a line from your heels, shoulders, right through the head, crown of your head, reaching forward. Breathe. Release your knees. Flatten the tops of your feet. Try to leave your hands where they are. Slowly take your hips back towards your heels. Take your time. Nice stretch for the spine, the shoulders, armpits, chest muscles. Breathe. Leaving your hands where they are. Keep your torso nice and low. Keep your bum up in the air. You're going to try and bring chest, chin to the mat with your bum up in the air. I know it's awkward, but boy, does this help with kyphosis, a rounded upper back. So if you find it difficult, maybe keep working with this and find it less difficult. Let's slide everything out behind us. Draw your fingertips back to align with the tops of your shoulders. Bring your forehead onto the mat. Bring your elbows into your side body and bring your forearms down towards the floor. So notice how this brings the shoulders away from the ears and the shoulder blades down your back. Roll an invisible alley with your nose. Tops of your feet are going to be flat on the floor for now. On an inhale, you're going to lift your head, neck, and shoulders without using your hands. So now you're using the muscles of the back. Think about lengthening as you lift. Creating space. Keep your elbows in, shoulders down. So you're not using your hands. They're just there as guidance. One more breath in, lift. Exhale, lengthen and lower. Now you can curl your toes under. You might press up onto your knees first, or maybe you lift everything up and come up into your downward facing dog. But walk your feet a few inches forward and then bend your knees and press your belly onto your thighs and your chest towards your knees. Align your ears with your inner arms, and then press your heels towards the floor. Doesn't matter if they touch the floor, you're just feeling a really good stretch in your calves and your Achilles tendon. Really important. If you're playing racket sports like pickleball, you want to keep your Achilles tendon stretched. So breathe. This is an energizing posture. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then let's lift the left leg up in the air. Look at your hands. Swing that foot as far forward as you can. Other leg forward. And then let your upper body just hang. Arms beside your ears. Engage your thighs. Pull your bellies in. Sweep your arms in front. Reaching up, feet apart for balance. Look up, arc back. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, up. Exhale, hands in prayer. Let's do one more round, a little bit quicker. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer. Feet apart for balance. Reach up, look up, arc back. Inhale, bring your feet back together. Lift up out of your waist. Exhale, reach forward as you fold. Stretch and then fold and let your head hang. Step your right leg back. Bring your hands onto your left thigh. Focus your gaze if you're going to balance. Press through that back heel. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Try to keep your shoulders right over your hips as opposed to reaching forward. It's not wrong, it's just an alignment. If you can bring your shoulders right over your hips, arms are up, you're holding that invisible beach ball. Hands forward, spread your fingers apart to distribute the weight, and take that other foot back. So come into whatever push-up plank position works for you today. Please don't let your head hang. That stretches the muscles in the upper back. Alignment, alignment. Press through your heels. Release your knees. Flatten the tops of your feet. Leave your hands where they are. And take your hips back towards your heels. Feel that stretch in your spine, shoulders and armpits, and then slowly lower your chest and chin. And coming forward until you can bring your chest and chin onto your mats with your bums up. Slide everything out behind you. Place your forehead on the mat. Align your fingertips with the edges of your shoulders. Elbows into the side body and press the forearms down towards the mat. On an inhale, roll an invisible alley with your nose. And exhaling, lifting, and you may wish to press up into the fuller expression of Cobra or whatever is working for you. But don't let your elbows wing out and don't let your shoulders come up. Shoulders down, elbows in, elbows aligned with your wrists. One more breath in, exhale, lengthen and lower. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up, walk your feet a few inches forward, bend your knees, press your belly to your thighs. Now when you press your belly to your thighs, watch how your spine lengthens, and then press your heels towards the floor. Align your ears with your inner arms. Lift your right leg up, look at your right hand, swing that foot as far forward as possible. Other leg forward, let your upper body hang, especially your head. Let that bowling ball stretch your cervical vertebra and cervical neck muscles out. Arms beside your ears, pull your bellies in, engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps, sweep the arms in front, reaching up, feet apart for balance, opening up the chest, lengthening the thoracic spine. Inhale, bring the arms forward. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, hands in prayer. Okay, let's just take one warrior on each side, and then you're going to play dead. Okay, come on up the fronts of your mats. Step your right leg back 1 leg length. Make sure the heel of your front foot creates a straight line through the arch of your back foot and that your heel is further back than your toes. Okay? And then bend your front knee. Now, don't let your torso go forward when you bend. Just bend the knee, or don't let it lean forward is what I mean. You want to be able to see your big toe inside of your knee. That inner thigh muscle should be activated. Press into the outside of your back foot. That activates this adductor. Inhale, sweep the arms up to shoulder height. Then exhale, lower your shoulders, lift at your sternum. So this develops strength of the musculature, balance, not so much flexibility in this posture, but we work on all three: balance, strength, and flexibility. Inhale, come into the center. And now, so come sideways on your mat. Turn your feet so they're slightly turned out. Arms are still out, shoulder height. Exhale, fold from your hips, just halfway, flat back. Tent your fingers underneath your face. Inhale, sweep your left arm up, reaching up and stretching up. Exhale, float it down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up, stretching up, maybe looking up. Exhale, float it down. Okay, you're going to be turning towards the back of your mat. Pivot on your left foot so that your left foot comes forward with your heel a little further back. And then bring your fingers around to your front right foot. Have a look at your alignment, and then you're going to windmill your left arm up, and you're coming into Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2 on the opposite side. Shoulders over hips. So try not to create any torque in your torso by leaning forward. Bring your shoulders back and breathe. Bending that front knee as much as you can. Take a look down that you can see your big toe inside of your front knee. If you can't, you're probably collapsing, missing the opportunity of developing stronger leg, ankle, and knee muscles, and thigh, of course. Inhale, up to center. Once again, turn your feet sideways. You're sideways on your mat, your feet are turning out. Hinge from your hips forward, and let's just lunge over to the left side, bringing your bum as close to your heel as possible. Up and over to the other side, and down. And into the center, walk your feet in towards one another, and take your final pose, Shavasana. We'll be a few minutes later than the 11 o'clock hour. I hope that's okay. Feel good about your efforts, everybody. If you had an iPad, place it over your eyes. It's always good if I usually have a box of tissues. If you can remember to put a tissue first before you put your iPad on. If you didn't today, don't worry about it. So, whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable, letting your feet splay out, palms facing up in the open and receiving position, let your body be soft and heavy. Relax your jaw, eyes are closed. without controlling, allow your breath to normalize, keeping the belly soft, but the body heavy. Some of the top yoga teachers that I've worked with have often spoken about beginner mind, which is the mind that is willing to revisit the basics, the beginner, basic information, to be reminded. So yoga comes from a Sanskrit word called yuj, which means to join or unite. And in simple terms, we're attempting to harmonize our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. In terms of the yogic scriptures, we're attempting to unite our individual minds and consciousness with universal consciousness, and to recognize that we are all part of and made from the same stuff. And as His Holiness the Dalai Lama simply says, he calls himself a simple Buddhist monk, all beings wish to be happy and none wishes to suffer. And to that end, yoga provides a roadmap in ways to reduce, mitigate suffering, and find freedom, liberation, and moksha from the suffering, which often begins in our minds. And it's a journey. It's not a light switch. So be patient, persevere, commit. You'll get there. That place of peace. Inhaling the life force, long, full, and deep. And deep, exhaling. Long, full, deep, inhaling. And deep, exhaling. One more big breath in. And let it all go. Take a moment now to roll over onto your sides, perhaps using your bottom arm as a pillow, bending your knees, and just spending a moment in a semi-fetal position. Acknowledge yourself for showing up, for practicing, taking care of yourself. And then use your top arm to press yourself up, back into any seated position. The light in me acknowledges the light in all of you. Namaste. Om Shanti.